In this video, I want to talk about creating content and making money. So I've been making anywhere between 500 to 1200 euros a month for the last 2 years. And the numbers, well, sometimes it's like 6,000 euros a month. Sometimes it's like zero. So I think that is the average. So there are 4 methods that I'm going to talk about. Number 1, releasing your music with labels. Number 2, going independently. Number 3, making an online store. And number 4, making YouTube content. Well, you could add number 5, making TikToks and getting popular that way, but I think that is too obvious. So if you really wanted to do that, you would do that anyway. You don't need me to tell you that, but let me talk to you about my experience and what works for me. So let's get started with this idea that labels are the best way to get popular and make some money. Actually, I'm not that sure about that anymore. So making money online, you always have to share, okay? So labels are taking at least 50% of your revenue, but then also 20% at least they give away to the distributor. So in reality, you get like 30% from the initial amount of money that you generate by putting out your content as an artist. So you can see these tracks here have 450,000 streams, blah, blah, blah. And actually, they don't generate that much revenue. That is not the main source of income, believe me or not. So these are pretty good numbers, but no, that's not the case. Also, a lot of the times nowadays, your releases are going to fail. So let me show you this. So this is the release that I had with Viper Recordings, okay? And this release generated 18,000 streams. This one came out on the 19th of January, so that means 2 months ago. And you can see the numbers aren't really good. Well, it could be good for a newcomer, but overall, you will quickly realize that this is like converting into zero financially. So now let's compare these numbers to my numbers with my YouTube channel. In the last 28 days, my videos have been watched 6,000 times. Now look, this one generated 18,000 streams in 2 months. So what if I go and look at the last 3 months? Boom, 21,602 streams. So in the last 3 months, I made more streams than I made in 2 months with a whole EP released with the Viper Recordings. Viper Recordings, guys, it's a good label, trust me. The label is not a big problem here. It's the concept that you put music through labels is what the problem is, because those labels don't have the platforms that they used to have. So if a label doesn't have a huge YouTube nowadays and a huge amount of successful Spotify playlists, that is what can happen a lot of the times. A release can flop. And just to defend Viper Recordings, there was another track that we released which was called Runnin', and it's gotten 51,000 streams here and maybe 10,000 on YouTube, I think, altogether. So those numbers are not too horrible. But then again, as I said, compare this against YouTube. If I compare this to my YouTube, like if I go all time, 81,000 streams overall on my YouTube channel. Okay, so YouTube numbers, they compare with the numbers that you get through releasing your music. But here's the thing, you guys. If you make a YouTube channel and you actually take care of it, like every now and then you upload videos, and if you create a really simple Shopify store, then you actually get more money that way than you would by putting your music out. Because if I put my music out like this through a label, what happens is they pay 50% of the revenue. Then also there's this hidden split which nobody's talking about, which is the amount of money that the label pays to the distributor. So actually it's around 20%. If you're lucky, then the label pays 10%, but mainly that's 20%. So what happens is you now actually get 30% of your revenue, not 50, because that's the business. And technically the label is not lying, because they are paying you 50% of all the money that they get from the distributor, but they also have a contract in between. So 18,000 streams, honestly, like how much? Let's look at this one up. So it's this amount, okay? So now let's add this number and calculate Boom. $54. That is how much the distributor receives from the Spotify for this track. $54. Now you have to deduct 50% and 20% more. So 30% of 54, $16. This is how much money you get from making 18,000 streams, okay? Which is actually less, because I don't think it's 0.003. I think it's a little bit less. It always changes. So you put out a release and you get $16 in 2 months. Awesome. Or you make a YouTube channel and you make a few videos where you make cool thumbnails and you talk about creating content online, and you make an online store. So let's look at this video. For example, here I made a song that sounds that sounds very similar to a song by Dimension. So I pretty much made a copy paste, and underneath this video I wrote samples from this video and more, and navigated to my Shopify website, which is a horrible website if you look at it. Look at this website. It's a really bad website, but I'm really bad. I'm not skilled, okay? So I opened a company and I added this store and its payment system to that company. And let's look at the statistics. In the last 30 days, this website, it has generated 310 euros. Just this website alone. So I haven't even been putting out a lot of content, because last month when I was uploading actively, I made almost 800 euros from this store alone. And then also there are some revenues that keep generating over time, right? Not every single release is going to flop. So as I said, there is releases like this. So Echo Inside Tracks release with Viper Recordings also. It flopped heavily. It flopped so badly. And also, like, in this day and age, you don't want to release albums, because it's going to happen, guys. It's going to happen. Keep your focus on the singles and maybe EPs. Not sure anymore though, but that is way better, because the more songs you have, the higher the chances that the release is going to flop. If you actually you listen to the album, it's actually good. I really enjoyed it. If you go to YouTube, there are videos where guys are actually giving you the backstory about every single track. They really went in and out to create promo content, but the release flopped nonetheless. And if you go to YouTube, the numbers are really sad, honestly. But this is going to happen. This is just what happens. These are, once again, these are the artists that have been putting their music out for such a long time. Look at the numbers. They are bigger than me, like 100 times. But even they are subject to such a conceptual problem with labels. Sometimes even with Viper Recordings, they had great numbers, but a lot of the times they didn't. And you know, you cannot rely on that type of income. You will eventually succeed and some of your tracks will generate good numbers, but then again, do you remember the calculation? Do you remember the maths? It's not that much money. So you have to constantly make content, blah, blah, blah. It's really a lot of stress. So if you want to make sure that you make money all the time, and that happens every single month, this is a great solution. YouTube gives you relevant numbers. The numbers that I get from YouTube are pretty much the same. It's incredible. So guys, if I were to rate the methods of making money with music online, I would put to #1 spot making YouTube content. And this is something that people started to pick up, and everybody does that nowadays, because they understand that if they want to have at least some financial backbone, at least some passive revenue, they have to open YouTube and they have to make a Patreon or something like that, or make an online store like I did and sell music there, like their samples there, or a breakdown tutorial, stuff like that, which is something that I do. And that is honestly, even if you don't try too hard, if you just do that on your free time, because you don't have that much energy, you have to work, you have to maintain your social life, you have to maintain your family life. So this is a side hustle, let's put it like that, but it still makes money. So that was, like, I would put on the first place YouTube channel in combination with like an online store, or like a Patreon or Boosty or some similar service where you sell your services. Then on the second place, I would put putting music through labels. That still works, but it's a hit or miss regardless of how skilled you are. Even artists, like major artists like Subfocus, sometimes their albums are not popular at all compared to their numbers that they generate in singles. I think there are songs by Subfocus which a single song is more popular than 3 albums. So, you know, do you really, like, it depends on the type of personality you are, but if you're pushing yourself, then you might, you know, break a neck. It's a little bit too much. So if you want to make sure that you are still fresh, you have the energy to make music, don't focus on albums, on EPs. You just saw an EP by me that generated the same amount of views as, streams as my YouTube videos. But my YouTube videos lead to a store where I sell my samples and people buy them, and that works. So that is what I would put that on a second place. The worst, I think, is going to be putting music out online independently. If you don't have a platform, you're going to have 0 streams. That's all there is to it. There is a 0.01% chance that an algorithm will pick you up and get you like 10,000 streams. But then again, I just calculated to you that 18,000 streams with a good distributor deal is $16. So 10,000 would be what, 10? I don't know. That is sad, and that is not what you're looking for. Unless you're extremely lucky and your drum and bass track somehow becomes huge, like Rihanna huge, then, I mean, it's not happening for you. So that, I would say, you can do that sometimes just for fun. Or if the other labels do not accept your music and your music is kind of unique in a way that labels think that it's not for them, sure, you can do that. And maybe if you have a decent amount of releases on your accounts, and if you have a lot of followers, maybe they will pick up some of that content. But do not rely on that. You still have to rely on bigger audience, bigger platforms such as YouTube or labels. So I hope some of the information in this video helped you to make the right decision in your life. And if you like my content, please hit the like and subscribe button, because this helps me to sustain a happy, balanced life. And I'm going to do more content for you in exchange. So hope you have a great day. And if you have some questions in comments, be sure to ask me. I'm going to help you out by answering as soon as possible. See you around.